This is one of the most important subjects to share with you, and although I know this has been talked about before, it has never gone in the direction I'm going to take it today. This is my opinion, and my point of view, with no intention of imposing any of these ideas on anyone else. And many want proof, and no, we are not going to give any, first because such proof goes against our physical integrity and safety, and second because we are not interested in convincing anybody. Whoever has eyes to see, as I say. I'm sharing all this because I know it is useful information for a large audience of people, mostly starseeds, who need it for their own process of making and forming their own perception of reality. It is difficult information to understand and to digest, but someone has to share it. From the beginning of time there have always been non-humans living among you, sometimes only visiting others a lot longer, even for an entire lifetime. I'm not talking about starseeds, that would be another related subject. Today I'm going to talk about one specific type of extraterrestrials. I'm talking about Lyrian space humans of the type, or vast group of extraterrestrials that are physically exactly like Earth humans, or at least on the outside, they look alike enough to pass off as human with a pair of jeans and a rock and roll t-shirt on. There have been, and still are, so many space human races entering and exiting Earth, that I'm not even going to bother to try to enumerate them all, but some of the most known, who commonly do that, are the Umites, then of course, the Centauri or Alphratans, the Antarians, and many from the Pleiades star system, including Taygetans. There are three main ways to enter Earth. The first is when a soul is physically born there, a starseed. This first type is called a crawl-in. The second is called a step-in. It is when a soul does not want to live more time on Earth, and wants to go back home, but it is inhabiting a healthy human body. At one or another point in life, depending on prenatal agreements, among others, that soul exits the healthy human body, and is replaced with another that wants to continue with the human experience, from that point in life on. This new soul will inherit all the life and identity of the first one, including all its life memories, responsibilities, and problems. The soul switch can happen as the result of an accident, a near-death experience, or simply during sleep, although there have been word of cases that have occurred in normal waking hours. The third type is the one I want, and need, to talk about, and it is called a step down. This is when a full extraterrestrial, that perhaps never before has been on Earth, and of any age, literally steps down from an extraterrestrial starship, dresses on like a human, and walks into society trying to pass as one. Although they have been doing that for ages, nowadays there are record amounts of them. Perhaps because there is so much craziness going on Earth, that it has never been easier to pass off as human. They dress as a human, step off a starship, and then they go and do whatever they want or need to accomplish on Earth, and then, when they are done, they go to a previously designated area, where their starship, with their friends, picks them up again, in a classical dust-off. Some may step down for a few minutes or hours, to get something, like some food for example, or to get scientific samples, and others may live on Earth for many years, using a human identity they may have fabricated before stepping down, or they may use the identity of a human that has died or has gone missing. They plan the identity they will take on, very carefully, and will go through all what it takes, through all the motions to behave like what it is expected of them. The variations for this are innumerable. Now, I'm going to talk openly and directly about Swaruunians. As mentioned before, Swaruunians are a genetically different variant of Taygetans. And one of their characteristics is having the constant habit of being around Earth, or on Earth, precisely as step-downs. Simply because we've come to love Earth and its people, and we perceive it as our second home, after the planets orbiting the Pleiadian star, Taygeta. We've been around and on Earth, mingling with the human population for so long, that it is more than logical to understand that we've taken on many good things, because humankind and the Earth is full of beautiful things to adopt and to cherish. So, yes, we do have a lot of human influence. And I know we do all we can to take the good and not the bad, but sometimes they come together, one defining the other, so yes, it's a pickle. But one thing I must make very clear is that although we've lived there, no one of us has ever been born there. We are not human, and we are not starseeds. We are full extraterrestrials, born off planet, grown and educated far from here. Many of us, including full Taygetans, have taken on human identities for just about any reason. Mostly simply to be able to be there, on Earth, to be with our friends and to enjoy all what your beautiful planet has to offer. We hold a unique perspective about human culture, and of life in space among other stellar races as well, and at the same time we can understand humans better than most other of those stellar races because we have been there with you. We know what it takes to survive on Earth. We've driven cars, we have bought food in your grocery stores, and we know what your chocolate tastes like, as an example. We literally live in two worlds at once. We can live among you for months or years at a time, or like most of us, we go down just for a few hours, or days at the most, and then we come back up here to our large mothership orbiting Earth, or we may soon go back down to Earth again, or we can decide to go back to our planets, Tema and Era, for some time, or for good. Although I'm talking about Swaruunians, being one of them myself, many Taygetans have done that before, and still do the same as we do. And as I've said before, many star races with human appearance do this all the time as well. Having been on Earth, and even lived there, we have developed a taste, and need, for many of humanity's things, including nice comfortable shoes and clothes, particularly cotton ones, some of your music, especially the old, or older one, and a lot of your wonderful food, among many other things. But sometimes, having been here near Earth, orbiting, or down there on the surface, we have many times come to depend on Earth's resources for our very survival. Also being in the need to generate some money, somehow, in order to purchase food and all the things we need to keep living on Earth, or even near Earth, as the Taygetans, logically, cannot provide us with human things or with anything that is not of Taygetan origin, and obviously we cannot hold a normal job. And we have also developed a need for your art, some of your gadgets, and for some of your toys as well. That's why Yashi likes brand dolls you recognized in my previous video, Yashi and Child's Play. And yes, we can replicate many things, but never food, as it results in a toxic caricature of the real thing and that has no nutritional value, but that is another subject. But we can replicate objects, for example, but sometimes we simply prefer the originals, only because they are the genuine artifacts. And we value the most what is handmade, as you can imagine. So, I guess this explains a lot about why sometimes we are seen as too human, because we have adopted many beautiful things from your culture and planet. And we've managed to incorporate all that into our personality, having been able to mix it all in a beautiful way, with the values, and all the rest of the Taygetan culture we come from. In a valid way, most Taygetans are more extraterrestrial in thought and nature than what we are, simply because they do not hold our unique perspective and understanding of Earth, and of everything that has to do with it. So Taygetans usually come to us, the Swaruunians, to ask for our opinion and advice. They know we hold a particularly clear view of what is going on Earth, the cabal that controls it, their agendas, and so on. We are counselors, holding a clear and unique understanding of both cultures, both the human and the Taygetan. And that also explains why it is us who are doing most of the talking, and not others. We are expeditionaries, researchers, and explorers here, near, and on Earth. And talking a little more about myself. Yes, I've lived on Earth, and many years of my late childhood, being that I will be 15 years old soon. I know what it is like to go to school there. I know what it is like to be sent to the principal's office for contradicting the information my teacher was giving, and I did so because I knew better. I've walked your streets, I've been to your cinema, and I even had to wear a face mask recently, all that situation being the main cause why I'm back up here, in Earth's orbit, in a starship. Swaruunians hold two cultures, and we know both very well, so I know we are among the most qualified to talk about exopolitics, in our own unique way and perspective. And all this doesn't make us less ET. As we have explained before, there is no clear boundaries between what is human and what is extraterrestrial. It is a foggy, murky boundary only few on Earth are starting to understand. This also because the extraterrestrials themselves have kept this a secret for long, mostly for their own safety. Swaruunians love Earth and humanity as much as we love Taygeta and everything in it. We are children of two worlds and two cultures. It was a beautiful sunny early morning. I was 8 years old, and I was running around there in the beach, playing with the surf and with the fine quartz crystal sand. There was a large flock of blue sea birds flying above in the gentle breeze. In the distance, to my left, I could see a large almost transparent cliff, with grass topping it, with some weeds hanging. Sunlight passing through the massive quartz cliff, breaking up into a rainbow, which reflected its beautiful colors on the beach. Far in the distance I could see a mountain range with snowy peaks. This place is famous because all the rocks, cliffs, and even the sand is made of amethyst crystal. This is Taygeta Island, Tema. A few miles north of Taygeta City, the capital of Taygetan society and home to its High Council. My mom walked up to me, wearing big dark eyeglasses, and said, "It's time to go, dear." Behind her, several meters away, on the grass and facing us, there was a metallic blue starship, with its access ramp down and its headlights on, in the hull at each side of it. My mom took me by my hand, and we walked together towards the starship. As I started to walk up the ramp, I turned around for a last look at the beach. Up to now, that was the last time I ever saw it, because we were heading for Earth, where my mom had been many times before, but it would be my first. She told me it was a place of high contrasts, but full of adventures and beauty. A few hours later we were at our final approach to Earth. I could see countless starships at different altitudes orbiting the blue planet as we started to descend into her atmosphere, with a slight orange glow in the front canopy window. Gravity dampers on, ECM or electronic countermeasures activated, cloaking active. My mom said as she pushed some buttons above her. I looked out the window to see a vaporization condensation cone forming around the starship as we descended lower and into the clouds. It was night and it was dark once below. I could see the lights of a large city in the distance as we approached a lonely secondary, dirt road. Skids down, my mom said as we landed, blowing large amounts of dust, and we both stood up from our seats, walked out of the bridge and into the cargo hold where we entered a small grey human SUV. The ramp opened in front of us as she turned the key to start the engine, and we drove out of the starship onto the dirt road. She stopped the SUV, and we both watched as our starship lifted off again, retracting its landing skids and turning off its front lights. Immediately accelerating away and into the night sky, becoming nothing more than a moving bright star before disappearing into her hiding, her AI as her pilot. We were now alone, on Earth, and all our world was contained inside the vehicle as we drove away and into the city nearby, where my mother would continue with her job as a health and fitness, martial arts trainer and consultant. I know that what I just described sounds very science fiction for at least most of you, but they are part of my normal life experiences. I lived with my mother in an apartment building, in a large city. I used to go with my mom to her work and I watched as she gave martial arts and self-defense lessons to people. Whenever I could, I participated, but only a little, as I was very young. But it was mostly very boring for me. After her work, my mom homeschooled me, giving special attention to what I needed to know about the human society I was in. But I was feeling very lonely, and I wanted to play and meet other kids my age, so I asked my mom to sign me up in a local school. She didn't want to sign me up. I almost had to beg her. She told me some strict rules I had to follow, and always. For example, I could never ever leave the school without her, and I could never ever tell anyone that I was not human and that I had come off a starship. So as the weeks turned into months at school, I felt I had adapted well, so I started to feel comfortable there, perhaps too comfortable, as I started to talk too much, and too openly, because I started to tell everyone alternative stories that differed a lot with the officially accepted ones, and just about any subject. This caused my teachers to see me as a problem child, and I was not only sent to the principal's office many times, with my mom having to attend those meetings as well, but I ended up with my school ordering my mom to take me to see a psychologist. I was not being naughty. I genuinely did not know what to say and what not to. Remember, I was only 8 years old. My two realities blended, and I literally didn't know where one ended and the other began. When a kid was telling everyone that his dad had such and such fancy car, I responded that my mother had a spaceship. And I was greeted with laughs and, "She does not," remarks from everyone. And another time, I innocently asked another kid what kind of spaceship her mother had. This happened to me, each time, more and more often, and not only about spaceships, but with every single subject of talk and study. I just couldn't understand how people could believe such obvious lies in the news and all the falsity that is talked about in public schools. And, of course, I was started to be left isolated by my friends and teachers, as they saw me as a crazy weird girl. As it was to be expected, my mother changed my school for another, several times. But I clearly felt that I could not fit in anywhere. Some of my friends tolerated me, as long as I didn't start to talk about strange things, but those were in a minority. But one of the things that called out my attention the most is that they didn't, or don't even care to listen to alternative ideas, or ways to see one or another subject. And they certainly didn't care if I was telling the truth or not, about me coming from another planet. Although technically, I was born in a ship in deep space. I noticed how contained their minds are within a very narrow reality corridor. Still thinking that humanity is at the top of all evolution, whatever that is, and the center of the universe. Completely ignoring all what is going on right outside their planet, including the several hundred parked starships in Earth's orbit. And blindly obeying and believing all what their authorities tell them, or should I say, captors. When a ship and her crew, of any human-looking Lyrian race, has been orbiting and operating around and on Earth, they soon realize that it's easier to get, at least most, of their essentials directly from Earth, not having to depend as much on their supply ships from their home planets. Each race will have its unique way to do things, logically, but much like what my mother used to do, what I've seen to be the most common way to go down to Earth to get supplies, is that the extraterrestrial group will have one or more human vehicles, cars, or SUVs, and the most competent of their group will drive them down to Earth, using a ramp-equipped starship. Most medium ones have ramps anyway. These human vehicles, at least most of the time, are legally and correctly registered and are able to circulate with normality, having genuine license plates. And the capable non-humans will also have legally obtained driver's licenses, as they hold human identities, as I described in the previous video. These would be the ones who will obtain the resources for the rest of their group, who remain safely on board their spacecraft. Once there, they simply drive them into a shopping mall, where they purchase whatever they need, in a normal way, although I've gotten word that it is also quite common, that the non-human group will openly steal whatever they need, later leaving a disproportionately large monetary compensation in return, at least sometimes. How they get their money is a complicated subject. Until recently they used to obtain all the amount they needed by hacking banking systems and ATMs using their much more advanced computers. The problem nowadays is that human banking computers and their safety systems have evolved to a point where this hacking is no longer possible, or at least easy. But most of the human-looking extraterrestrials that live on Earth for long periods of time end up developing survival skills that enable them to earn money in a normal way, just as most humans do. All this above means that as the years go by and a starship crew remains near Earth, or in Earth's orbit, their ship will progressively start to get filled up with all kinds of things of human manufacture. And this is yet another mechanism where human society is influencing other cultures and their expeditionary crews. This will be all for today. Thank you for listening to me. With much love and a big hug. Marie Swaruu.